strong in faith.
Faith can move mountains. Radio Maria, 91.3 FM.
The voice of truth.
Hello, amazing listeners of Radio Maria 91.3 FM. Welcome again to the program, Learn With Us. For those who already know, just a refresher. Learn With Us is an educational program where we discuss everything that pertains to learning. How can you learn better? What are the informations that you're supposed to have to be a better person in the society? Here, what we bring to you makes you to understand that learning, education, schooling is beyond the certificate. Makes you to know how to integrate well. It gives you diverse views of life on how to make yourself and the next person better. In general, having the right, proper information for you to make the informed or ideal choice. That's what we do here on Learn With Us. And you also get to hear experts voice their opinion on various topics. So for today, what are we treating? I have my co-anchor here.
Okay, thank you. My name is Omije Osega Victor.
All right.
So
what are we treating today?
Okay, so we are treating the effect of that's verbal reasoning and gaming and their effects on learning.
Okay, you just heard him. The impact or effect of gaming as it relates to verbal reasoning for students. What is the relationship when a child plays game, whether he plays it too much or he does not even play at all? Is there any relationship between gaming and learning? That's what we are going to be discussing today. Whether it's video game, whether it's the board game, whether it's the scavenger hunt, every kind of game that a student is familiar with. What is the impact for the student or the child's verbal reasoning? Come to think of it, sometime in the news early this week, the registrar of JAMB just mentioned that beginning from next year, 2024, they are going to be setting verbal reasoning tests for those who want to go through direct entry.
That's a nice development. Because
okay, so he said now it's no longer going to be normal chemistry, math, physics, verbal reasoning, aptitude, sound aptitude tests that we really test their critical thinking.
That's very important because verbal reasoning is something that if you see our job the methods of employment, check employment tests. Even when you want to all these foreign tests like international tests, you observe that verbal reasoning is a very key part or intricate part of their testing procedure.
That is what you're going to be telling your amazing listeners. So just jailbreak, just hold on. As it is with us in this program, you know that this is your program. There will be time for you to call in. So when it gets to that time, please do us the honor of turning down the volume of your set or walk away completely. So now we start with our academia spotlight. Who do we have on our academia spotlight today? Is the person of Godwin Babagbemi Alomaja. Is a young boy that has designed an automated transfer switch that enables you to switch from electricity grid to an alternative power supply. Can you imagine that?
That's wonderful.
Although he says that this innovation is not novel, the one you will call new, but he's been able to do an amazing thing with making it remote, in a remote form that you can just tap on your phone or your mobile phone and it can just switch. For example, from your PHCN, your NEPA, popular NEPA,
nice.
to generator, or from generator to PHCN, and any place you are in the house, or even when you are outside the house, and it can allow you to time your generator to say, I want it to work for so hours, so time.
Wow.
And it says that this earned him like a national honor during his NYSC here in Abuja. I think the time around that time of 2018 or 2020 during that time, and he was able to even develop one and give to the secretariat here. Wow. And aside from that, this also earned him a cash of about 1 million naira at some point. You know, when they were talking about persons with an innovative project, so he was able to present this. So he would say that he started that right from time he had this interest, to be able to, provide solutions to problems. Then he started from going to a technical school before he now went to a university to finish. And one of the things that he said inspired him to do this is somebody that he witnessed, or he heard the story of someone that got electrocuted, or that even lost his life in trying to switch from generator to electricity grid. So that was what inspired and motivated him. So you that is out there, and Avodoya that is here, and Victor that is here, what would you be remembered for? And I want you to know that not having a choice is a choice in itself. All you need to do is step away from that thought and you would find the real choice. Please, do not go anywhere. The program is still Learn With Us. We'll be right back after the break. Yes, so, Victor, your amazing listeners are listening. Wanted to know, what is this verbal reasoning? And can you give us like one or two examples to this verbal reasoning?
Okay, so thank you, Ms. Avodoya. So verbal reasoning, when we talk about verbal reasoning, we talk about the ability to understand and comprehend concepts that express through language.
Okay.
So when you can understand and express and solve problems that are expressed through language, and you can constructively think. So normally verbal reasoning involves, you see a write-up, you create a picture in your mind of what the write-up is trying to say. So you read the language, you understand what it's trying to say, and you prefer a solution based on what the write-up is about, or you complete the information. So it spans beyond just understanding vocabulary of the language. It goes to forming theory and understanding the reason behind why it was written, and then engaging the language and knowing what they are trying to pass across. So now,
sorry, if I may come in there, Avodoya likes to learn very well. For example, now look at this season. When I see for this season, now typically this season, you will see some images of a very bulky man, with the attire, red and white attire.
Yeah.
And they will just say season greetings. So verbal reasoning now is me being able to deduct what that is all about.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Although that's quite a mixture, because once you have images, it's no longer verbal.
It's not okay.
So verbal has to do with language.
Okay, it's language.
So when we start giving examples now, you get to see why verbal has to do with language. So there's non-verbal and there's verbal. So when you say non-verbal, you're talking about things that don't have to do with language. So that's where you have images, charts. That's also very important. You hear that in school, then they'll say quantitative reasoning, verbal reasoning. You see that all the charts, the graph, the images are inside quantitative. Once we come to language, the letters of the alphabet, comprehension, they are all inside verbal reasoning. So that's what verbal reasoning is about. So it's like, they write a short story and I'm able to tell, for example, I buy a new device and there's a write-up on how to install that device. Not everybody can install the device reading the write-up, because they cannot interpret what is written there.
Okay.
So verbal reasoning is your ability to read that write-up and know and install the device based on what has been written in the write-up, because of you can give meaning to what has been written.
Okay, without the pictures.
Yes, without the pictures.
Okay. Making sense of writings without the picture. So you have to have the mental picture of what the writings are talking about.
Exactly.
Okay. So even without an image, for example, if I see season's greeting, so the next thing I have to put a mental picture to read to what season, to what exactly is being celebrated.
Exactly.
So that is verbal reasoning.
Exactly.
Season
greetings, for example, is not a complete information.
Okay.
But now you already know what time we're in. And so you know what season mean, you know what greetings mean. And for you to now go ahead and buttress those two words and process them into a bigger picture, that's verbal reasoning. You're already reasoning from what the language has been presented to you, basically.
So write about some one or two examples as it relates to this topic.
Okay, so now I've already given one. So following or deciphering instructions to get a solution. So sometimes you look at a machine and you see push or pull, and the person can easily detect that, so to open this thing I need to push the door and not pull it. So that's verbal reasoning, because you see push, but you can interpret what push would definitely mean.
Okay.
So that's verbal reasoning. So you are reasoning based on what has been written and is squarely based on language. Another example is understanding letter sequences. So now if you observe, there's something very vital in charts. They use letter sequence a lot in maps. And to understand the way maps are written, you have to understand those letter sequences. So if you see primary school children, they'll say AZ, BY. So understanding those sequences is part of verbal reasoning.
Okay.
So another very good example is drawing information from limited information. So you are given a limited information and you're asked to fill in the dots. So you have to think of what is the possible answer
to that.
To the gaps.
Okay, for example, when they say, how many roads are there to Use Market? A, 2, B, 5,
So
C, 10. So it's been able to
so you have to think
something
based
like
on
that.
limited information that has been given to you.
Okay.
So then identifying words within words. For example, you have the word team, and you can tell that you have team has me, at, am, meet. You see it mate. So you see the way you can play around with language, understand the language, play around with it. That's verbal reasoning. That's an example of verbal reasoning. Spotting odd words in a group. For example, I have cow, cat, this thing, goat, and table. I can tell that table is not an animal. The rest of them are animals. Verbal reasoning as regards language. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So far, so good. So now, what is game-based learning? Game-based learning. So we're talking about proper now, going into the topic of the day. So how do you define game-based learning as it relates to a student?
Okay, so game-based learning is a teaching method. It's a way of teaching. So where you use games to support learning outcomes. So now, every game, for a game to be a game, it has to have a problem that you have to solve. If it does not have a problem that you have to go around, then it's not a game.
Okay.
So game-based learning is when I tailor that problem to support a certain learning goal. And so I put it in a way that students can interact with it and go around it and learn the lesson. So that's what they call game-based learning. So I put my learning objectives inside the game. And you have to, I have a game, I have a math problem. I want you to know mathematics. Okay. Like addition. Like when I was still young and I was just learning programming, I made this game. So now it's a very simple game, addition and subtraction. So what happens is that a random question shows up that you have to add, and you have 5 seconds to add it. Okay. And when you add it, you hit it, it says enter. Once you fail it 3 times, the game ends. So you see how many can you answer before the game ends, before you fail 3 times. And it's about 5 seconds. Sometimes as the levels increase, the time becomes shorter. So you have to respond really fast. So that's an example of game-based learning. It improves the child's ability to add and subtract numbers very fast. But yet, it's exciting, it's interesting, because you are trying to meet a goal. You have to solve a problem, basically. So
what you say now, game-based learning is like a technique that is employed or deployed to teach students by learning how to play game.
Yes.
So students learn through playing games.
Exactly.
Okay, so now what would you say, what are the examples, for example? Give us examples.
Okay, so before I talk about examples, I would like to say that the elements of every game are 3. Okay. So one, it has to be competitive. So there has to be like a competition. So there has to be a stake. Like when I say a stake or a reward. Okay, like a prize. A grading. So you do it, you have 10 points, 20 points, 30 points, 40 points, 50 points. If you don't have that, then we cannot yet call it a game. Okay. Then second of all, it has to be something you can interact with. And third, it has to entertain you. So if those 3 things are already there, then it's already a game. So we have different kinds of games. We have card games. Okay. Yes, card games like what, all those. Yes, so card games. We have board games, chess. That was one of my most favorite. All right. Then we have word games like Scrabble. That was so good. That's why it's remarkably good. Puzzle game is your Ludo. I'll just give you one example. Okay. Video games. We all know video games. The one you, of course. So,
the one that gets all your attention.
The one that the boys love. The boys love that a lot. Sega. So PS, PS5, PS4. They're role-playing games. Role-playing games. So you have games where somebody plays a role, another person plays on that role, and things like that. So those are examples of games that we have. Okay, so what is the relationship of these games and verbal reasoning? Okay, so verbal reasoning and games are closely tied together because every game has to express itself through a language. And your ability to interpret what that language is saying, because all games, for it to become competitive and interactive, it has to be coded in a way. So the information is not just out there that is so easy to play. Once a game is so easy, people get tired of it. So the most interesting games, you'll find out that they use language, but language are coded in verbal form or in quantitative form that you have to decode it. So playing a game normally should improve your verbal reasoning. Research, I was reading a research some time back, and they said that so they could not tell how gaming improves the style of reasoning. So, but they did it in such a way that so they took a set of students, a sample size, and they did a verbal reasoning test before they gave them games to play for 2 weeks consistently. When they came after the test, all the students improved tremendously. Now, why? Because in gaming you are trying to solve a problem. You have to interpret language. You understand? So you see something, they say push, pull. You see one arrow going up and one arrow going down. You have to decipher what that means. And that's also very important because it improves your reasoning capacity. So games help to improve your verbal reasoning capacity, especially because you have to understand the language in which it is written.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And I think too it helps it increases one's ability to be able to solve problems.
Exactly.
To be able to deal with obstacles. For example, in playing these games, there are some of these games that you have to think ahead because there are going to be some obstacles that you encounter, and you have to be a fast thinker, really quick to be able to get beyond or above them. If not, you get defeated.
Exactly.
And I think another thing it would do is that it helps the students to be focused, to be attentive. Because for you to be able to play a game, and because you say if there are no stakes, if there is no reward, if there are no grading, then it's nothing. It's not a game if it's not competitive. So now for you to be even normal the Scrabble that people play and Monopoly, even chess, nobody gets distracted winning that kind of game.
Exactly.
Even if it's the one they call like the scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
Where you have to put some things in different parts of the classroom, and you tell the child, go and bring this according to history. Okay, what year did Nigeria gain our independence? You put it at a particular corner of the room.
Yeah.
You need to be focused, and you need to know the year that comes first.
Yeah.
Who was the first person to become an accountant in Nigeria, and what year? And you see different years. Another thing, there's this one that for those who love pizza, there's this pizza game where you have to cut the cardboard in pizza form, then you divide it into different fractions.
Nice, that's a nice one.
Divide it into different fractions and make the children bring all those fractions together to form one big pizza.
Nice.
So in doing that, they learn how to calculate, how to minus. So that's one of the things that it does. Then it builds or enhances one's problem solving skill. Because when you are able to navigate all those obstacles during the gaming and the rest of them, you see that, for example, just like you said, when they brought those people, for those who played game for 2 weeks, and they made them to face tasks with little or no supervision. Ordinarily, these are things that every now and then they will run to the teacher, they will run to a guardian or a parent, please help do this. But you find out that with them being attentive to playing this game and being able to navigate all those obstacles, it just helps them to kind of be self-dependent or it gives them that number one, self-help. They just know that if I'm able to navigate this obstacle, definitely I can do this.
And that thing a game does is that it gives the child a sort of confidence and good coordination. Now, why is that very important? Because you see, most times when you're in class, one of the things that kills children, especially in mathematics, or that breaks down their confidence, is fear.
Yeah.
You do your first test, you see, but in a game, you're not afraid of that because you know that the failure just means that your stakes are gone, but it's a virtual world or it's not real. Yeah. So that gives you the ability to try over and over again. As you are trying, with practice, you are improving your skill. I remember then when we used to be young, we were just in year 2, and there was this guy that could juggle the ball. For all of those who play football, could juggle 200 before the ball touched the ground. Now that was an extreme feat for a 16-year-old child. Now why was that so? Because anytime it falls to the ground, there's nobody that's going to say, why do you allow it fall to the ground? So he would practice it and say, oh no, because I hit it like this, it fell to the ground, and learn again. So that removes the fear of trying. And that's what disturbs many children in mathematics. So they want to do something, but they are not free. They cannot navigate the space with the options that they have because they are afraid that, oh, I will fail it, and when I fail it. So, but one of the things that games do is that it opens up. Then I think another thing it does is that it increases your hand-to-eye coordination.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Now you see something. So a game, normally you operate, as you see, especially with video games. Yeah. So as you are operating, you need to operate as fast as you see, and in accordance for it to work properly. And that's also a very important part of a child's development, hand-to-eye coordination. It also helps him to learn skills. So yes, helps him to learn skills. So that's why gaming in itself is very, very important. It improves the child in a lot of ways. Yeah,
and according to a doctor named Manos, he said that he's come up with this research to show that gaming increases the gray matters in the brain, and that this gray matters is what allows some part of your brain to interact or communicate with other parts of your brain to make you have this your self-perception, to increase your self-perception.
Very true.
So in all, because it's something that you have to really think, put your thoughts into while doing, it allows that communication from one part of the brain to another part of the brain. So the program is still Learn With Us. And so far we have been discussing the impact of gaming in verbal reasoning for students. What is the relationship between playing games and verbal reasoning for a student? Is it a good thing? Is it even relevant? What is this verbal reasoning? And what is gaming? So these are what you'll be hearing us talk about on this program, Learn With Us. Please do not go anywhere. When we come back, there is more for you on this segment.
Okay, you're welcome back, and the program is still Learn With Us on Radio Maria, and we are talking about the effects of gaming on verbal reasoning, especially in students. And we've been talking a lot, so now we will start talking about the disadvantage. Are there any disadvantages to gaming? Does it carry negative effects in children or to students? Definitely.
Even as we hear that water has no enemy, but there is a way that you will use water or you will treat water that it becomes, your enemy.
Of course.
So as with every other thing that has an advantage or disadvantage, so it is with gaming. Now, one key thing that brings about, like the disadvantage aspect is the abuse of it.
True.
When you abuse these things that are meant to, assist you or enhance your learning, then you begin to feel the negative aspect. And from abuse, what comes usually, one thing that comes with abuse is the addiction to it. You find out that because the game is exciting, because the game is something that is that draws you in, you tend to shut out every other thing. So what comes here now is you find out that this student are unable, or they begin to leave their schoolwork. They begin to focus more on these games at the detriment of their studies.
True.
Homework suffers. Even the normal tasks at home, those house chores which they usually, assist their parents to do, they suffer. And it isolates them too from humans.
True.
You find out that they become very soaked in, that even while somebody wants to interact with them,
become socially awkward.
Exactly. Social isolation, like some people call it. The program is still Learn With Us. This is the point where we take your calls. So you can call us. Let us know your take on this topic that we are discussing, the impact of gaming in verbal reasoning. The number to call is 081 084 47518. What is the impact? Or what's your take on this topic in general today? Should children be allowed to play games? Should even game learning or game-based learning, like some people advocate for it, should it be one of the things, teaching or learning techniques that should be adopted in schools?
That's a very important question there. I remember like 2 years back, I went for one interview, and the interview was games from start to the end. It was 4 games.
And it's a work interview?
Yes, it's a work interview. 4 games. So it was both verbal reasoning and quantitative reasoning, just testing your abilities through games. And so I know.
Are you being serious right now?
You. So calling so that we know.
All right.
Yes.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Your name, where you calling from, and your contributions, please.
Today I'm calling from Cuba. Complimented to you.
Same to you.
You know, there are some I don't know how they call it, tablets that is meant for game. So children, they are doing so digital these days. If you buy them this smartphone, no matter how, they will know what to do. Even this things as they know what to do. But if you want to monitor them, still give them this tablet. There are some tablets they buy for children game. That one is so good for them. By the time they say they want to play game, give them that one and let them play game with it. Otherwise, even though it's smartphone, it will distract them into a different ball game.
Okay.
Thank you very much for this topic.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution. So now we'll be talking about like the negative effect. Now, one of them we say is abandoning your books and even functioning well and integrating in the society properly.
Yeah.
You know, there is a difficulty doing that. And if these persons are not monitored on the kind of games that they play, they could be playing bad ones. And those bad ones, for example, could make them aggressive, violent. Yeah. They become short-tempered. They become intolerant. They become impatient.
True.
That's one of the disadvantages you can get from this.
True. That's one thing that now comes to control. So parental control in terms of games is very important because I know that some parents are just no games. It's going to affect the child's development. So as much as possible, games are important. But whether video games or physical games, they are important. But it has to be controlled so that you, in fact, opening your child to games helps you understand more about the child's personality. Yes, it helps you understand more because I remember when we were young, we never knew. Some of us had hot temper. That's we used to throw tantrums, especially when we are losing games or it's not going according to our rules. My father discovered that because he used to play the games with us, so he knew how to deal with it as we played the games. So that's also very important. So parental control is important.
So aside from this parental control of helping them play this game responsibly as per the time that they should allow to each game and when not to play this game. So it is advisable, or how would you say, we encourage parents to sit and play these games with them too?
Yes.
Just like you said your father was doing with you.
Oh, we learned tennis and football from him.
Okay.
And that was really nice because it even bought us that small Sega then. And so when we are on holidays, he will keep it. When we're on holidays, he will bring it out and we'll play it. You dare not play it when you are in school period. Yes. You can't even bring it out.
So that's another way, to control this. And another thing, since the caller we just had talked about tablets.
Yeah.
There should be time that you allow them access to this.
Yes.
Especially when it's their bedtime, you should be able to take it away from them. If they are not disciplined enough to hand this gadget to you, you should be able to take it away from them. Or even if you leave it with them, from time to time, you should go check on them if they are actually sleeping.
True, very true.
Because if not, because of the way they are so drawn to it, they can get carried away that they won't even know that it's bedtime already or it's past bedtime. They close their doors, they are playing this game, and that takes the time into the sleeping time. And what do you have in the morning when they are supposed to wake up to prepare for school? You find them still sleeping. Or when they go to school, you find them sleeping in the class.
Yeah, and they will not even their brains will not be properly refreshed for the day's lesson.
Exactly. And they will not, and And with that too, they will not be attentive.
True. Very true.
So we'll still expect your calls. Call us. Let us know what your take on this topic is. Still learn with us, and the number to call is 081-084-47518. I take it again, 081-084-47518. The impact or the effect of gaming in verbal reasoning. That's what we're talking about. How does game help your child to build critical thinking? How does it enhance the learning skills of this child? So you've heard us talk about, the impact, the critical thinking aspect, being able to reason. Hello, good evening. Hello. Good evening, sir. Your name, where you calling from, and your contributions, please. Okay, do call us back. The number to call is 081-084-47518. Call us. Let us know your take on the topic. Share your opinions. Is it okay for us to allow our children to play games? And how far should we allow them to go into these games? What would it take to play this game responsibly for them not to get addicted to this game or become a couch potato? Or that's another one. Is it okay? Is it okay for the parents also to join in? Is it okay for the parents also to join these kids to play these games? And another thing is for you to really know how, just like that research says, for you to really know whether or not it's good for you to allow these children play this game or the impact is making. You could test them on some things. For example, this, verbal reasoning, critical thinking, anything that has to do with this analytical work.
Could keep the learning outcome. So there are ways to check that out too. Yes.
Okay.
So there are ways to check it. And I also observe that if you see children that are gifted in mathematics, you see that they love analytical games a lot.
Oh.
Yes, and many of them even learned the mathematics from analytical games. It's very important that the moment the child begins to improve in playing analytical games, it is expected that his analytical abilities will begin to rise and begin to improve. That's very important. So I used to always say the problem about game addiction is majorly about time management and control.
Yeah.
And just like anything you overdo, like if you say a child should never play games, you observe that child's development will be slower than his mates who play games. That's just natural. Yes, it will. You can check it out. Children that never play games, they are usually they are shy. They are afraid to take risks more than those who play games, because when you play game, it opens you to a plethora of options and the ability to always try out all the options. So you say, if I try this option, what will happen? If I try that option, what will happen? If I try this one, what will happen? Now you try all of them and only one works. So it now gives you a sense of freedom to try several options. Even when you are working on a problem. I remember date back to like 4 years ago, I was marking mathematics for one of our national exams, and so there were like 3 ways that the board had stipulated it could be solved.
Okay. And
then I was marking a student script and I saw a completely different method that worked. I knew the method was correct when I looked at it, but it was not stipulated. So that tells you that the child has thought of a way aside the ones that have been stipulated or the ones that have been taught generally by the curriculum. And so when we presented to the board, they said it was correct, that it was a nice way to think. So
and the child was scored correctly?
Yes, it was scored correctly. Full marks. So children, when they play games, they now begin to see other ways to do things apart from just the stipulated do this and don't do that.
Okay.
And it opens them to executing all the options. So it removes that ability or fear of, I failed the math question. If I solve it like this, what if I do it like this and I fail it? And then it just
that
back.
one-way traffic.
Yes. So it opens the child's mindset to thinking about multiple directions. And that's very important for children's development.
And another thing, aside from the multiple ways, it just enables them to just go one stage after another. Because if you look at the way the gaming thing is, you have level 1, and when you will want to pass level 1 and get to level 2, and after level 2, you don't want to stop. You just want to keep going.
Exactly.
So even in the learning process too, when they begin with a particular topic, no matter how complex that topic is, and or how terrifying it would have been, but because they are able to go through these different stages, they are able to apply that also directly. That from one stage they go to the next, from one stage they go to the next, from one stage they get to the next. So this is one of the things that gaming does, you know, for verbal reasoning or for even learning, the learning process entirely. So we're still expecting your calls, your SMS, 081-084-47518. Call us. Are there some questions you want to ask concerning gaming as it relates to a student learning? Call us. What is your contribution to the topic? Is it a good thing for us to expose our children to games? And what sort of games? And for how long should we allow them play these games?
So let me ask this question. What was your favorite game when you were still in school? What was your favorite game?
If I say 10-10 now. No, but what do you mean?
Some people laugh at Nigerians and their games and say, look at the kind of games we're playing.
No, nobody should even laugh. I find it very very offensive now. You laugh. What do you mean?
I'm not laughing. Okay, I'm not laughing.
Don't you know what 10-10 is?
I'm trying to remember.
Okay, if you're trying to remember, 10-10 is this one that you know. There's another one I used to like. You draw some lines on the floor.
Oh,
1, 2, 3, 4.
we call it Osiwe.
It's Osiwe. So you will jump one. They will throw something in the other, in the second or the third line. You will jump above it, or you are able to jump and get to it. These are all games.
Yeah.
It makes you know how to calculate very well.
True.
Maybe that was why I liked mathematics growing up. But my brother, when I recited maths, I always say it whenever I have the opportunity. But don't be like me. Yeah. The moment I recited, I gave up kind of. So I paid more attention to other subjects, but which shouldn't be, because now there are different ways in how to get beyond and above the difficulties or the obstacles you encounter in learning mathematics. That is why you hear these days people will say, "Oh, math is my best subject." Yeah. And I'm like, are you
math
serious?
Is especially math is fun, especially like when I was growing up. English was one of my most fun subjects. That's because I grew up watching my father always play Scrabble during his free time.
Yeah, okay.
So playing Scrabble if you have to play with him, you have to learn a lot of words. If not, you will just get beaten hands down. So there's a dictionary in front of us. And so when you put a word that you're not so sure of, you check it. So you begin to know words, especially 2-letter words, small words. You begin to know those words because you are playing those games. There are some games that are very directly related with learning.
Yeah.
Yes, they are so directly related with learning, and still they are interesting. So there are other games like strategy games. I was never a big fan of chess, though. I don't know why, because that's why I played. They always won me. They always beat me. So it was not my team. But Scrabble was one of my teams.
And I think Scrabble is very, very relevant, to the student of today, because of what it gives to you.
Exactly.
Because I think the chess will resonate more with those who are out of school.
Yeah, strategy.
Yeah,
business and
exactly.
strategy.
It helps you too if you know that you're planning in the way of going into business. It helps you to know how to strategize. Exactly. What do I do now? What do I do before this? What do I do next when it comes to the business? Routing the business properly. So that is chess. But this Scrabble is very, very relevant because of the words, because there is no way you can go past the English.
True.
Because with the way it is now, even if it is in your language they teach you, in your class, in your hometown, for you to be able to integrate properly in the society, you will still need to learn that English or the general language. Exactly. And look at the way the French thing is coming on us now. There are some subjects now, or some places you go to work, they will say, for those who have, some who know French or are able to speak French, they will tell you is an added advantage.
Sure.
So that's another thing that this language, especially the English thing, when you have to play the Scrabble, that the vocabulary thing you have to bring, and it's a worldwide game now that even in schools.
They have competitions.
They have competitions now, and the kind of
competitions,
whether it's national or international, and it's so amazing the amount that comes with it. Exactly. I mean the monetary reward, not just the trophy.
Yeah, like remember that movie Queen of Katwe, where a Ugandan lady talks about a Ugandan lady who learned chess, and she was from a very small village in Uganda, and then she rose to play on the world stage, and because of that she got scholarship. Her parents got relief from relief aids and the rest of them, and they are living fine. So sometimes these things can even span beyond just improving your verbal reasoning to you can become a professional at it. Yeah. So of course we know that games are played for professional reasons too.
Yeah, there's this presently now the scramble champion that has even gone is a Nigerian guy. I think Jigere is his name from the southern part, south part of the country. Yeah, he's even gone, aside from the competition he won nationally here, he's even gone to win internationally. Beyond the Nigeria fair, and he's won that back to back for how many years, and it will say it is the proceed from there that he was able to use to set up his academy to employ himself. So that is what he does now.
Nice.
He has set up an academy, and where people come, he teaches them, he trains them, even as the money from there goes into some other things to better his life. So that is one of the things, or one of the benefits that you get from this gaming. It's not all about. So what we are talking about here is using it responsibly. Using it responsibly. And parents, like we say, parents must have that parental control over this gaming. The timing. For example, some persons will say, how many hours are allowed? They will tell you that at least 2 hours. 2 hours during the weekends. And they will tell you from certain age to certain age, do not allow more than this time, allow for only this time.
And there are even games that are appropriate for certain ages. So
exactly.
So there are games that are appropriate for certain ages. So that's also very,
because you cannot bring a 2-year-old to start playing Scrabble.
Yes, exactly. So he has to understand vocabulary. He has to his verbal
or 1-year-old self to start playing Scrabble.
Or then now what children nowadays they are getting younger. The smartness level.
Exactly. So that is why I took it from 2 years, because for some 2 years now the way they communicate is amazing.
You'll be surprised you see a 2-year-old child that can read fluently, and you're like, wow, what's going on?
So that's why I brought it to like 1 year.
Yeah,
or you can't place a monopoly before a 1-year-old child or 6-month-old child.
I think basically what you'll be more concerned about is the developmental stage of the child. So you have to be looking at what is the developmental stage that this child is in now, rather than just his physical age. So if a child at 10 cannot yet read properly, so you cannot play advanced Scrabble with him. You have to go gently with small word games, all these word puzzles first.
Exactly.
Before we start going to Scrabble, because they are word puzzles. You know these word puzzles, crossword.
I still love it till tomorrow.
I know that because I buy newspapers just for crosswords. I
really don't buy, but if I see anyone, I struggle.
I have to give on my phone.
and it makes you just soak in, and helps you to actually think quickly in providing solutions to problems,
especially with words.
Yes.
So it helps you, especially when you are writing an article, to know the right words to use.
Exactly.
So most times there's this thing we call brain fog or blanking out when you are writing, and then you cannot suddenly get the right word. You know that the word is there deep within your vocabulary, but you can't just bring it out. So these games, they help you, these crossword puzzles and Scrabble, they help you bring out those kind of words. So there are games like that too.
And now more so now that is the festive period, that is the holiday. This is the time that the children get tempted to just take all the time and say, after all, it is holiday. What do I do again? But it's still not healthy. It's still not healthy if they are going to abuse it, or if they are going to be addicted to it.
True.
In place of that, for someone who is already abusing it all, or addicted to it, there are other options. You can make that child read a book in place.
True. You
can make that child learn a skill in place of that.
True.
Even learning a new language in place of that.
Yes. So, and that's at this point I would like to say there's a difference between gaming and gamification. So I would like to describe the two and put a very clear difference, so that you can use gamification instead of gaming.
Okay.
And teachers do
gamification.
Yeah, so I'm going to just quickly say that. So you can do that a lot. There's a difference. Now in game-based learning, there's a game, you put your learning objectives inside it.
Okay.
So now, but in gamification, I have my learning objectives in the traditional teaching method, but I now put the elements of gaming into it. Like I'll say, if you solve this certain number of problems, a reward. If you do this, so it's a way to replace gaming, especially for people who have gotten too addicted. Yeah, so
okay.
It looks like a game, but it's not a game actually. It's a different thing from a game. And so you get to learn a skill and say when you go twice a week or you go 3 times a week, when you bring the first shot, we give you this. Now it's like a game, but it's not a game actually. So you are replacing the traditional game with gamification. So you are making them do other things that are strictly defined goals, but yet you are adding rewards and anchors and all those things to make the child more interested. And that's also very important. So there are quite two different things, that learning techniques that teachers use a lot. So you say, oh, the person that gets 10 over 10 in this math test, you get so this. That's not a game. That's gamifying math tests. So,
okay.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right. Then now, the other stakeholders, one of them is the teachers. But before the teachers, we go to the parents. When these children, for one who is really addicted to this game, you find out that this gadget that is not supposed to go with them to school, they find a way of sneaking them into their bags or school bags. And when they are able to do that, they get to the school and lock it up in their lockers. True. So if you're not able to catch them at home and they get to the school, they lock it up in their lockers. And when a particular subject is being taught, there is that tendency that they get tempted to bring it out somehow and play.
True.
So that is why parents must be very alert. Check their school items inside their bags.
In fact, you should know all the games your children play, especially if they have to do with gadgets. And there are times that you should retrieve those gadgets. Very importantly.
Yeah.
In fact, this is one thing that good parents are big at. So they are the ones that buy the gadget for you. And so when they don't want you to have it, it's with them.
No matter how the child is throwing tantrum.
Yeah, it's with them and it is not with the child. When they want the child to have it, it's with the child.
And let them know why you are doing that. Let them know it's for their own good, because it is not an easy thing having to deal with an addiction.
Yes.
Addiction, you know.
And as you are taking it, you replace it with other fun things that the child can do.
Exactly.
Like I used to say, sometimes we get it wrong because during school periods, no games. After school, when you're now on break, they not abuse the game. No.
Yeah.
I used to say that's why it seems that the older generation seems to be more enlightened than this present generation of kids in terms of balance. Not in terms of just smartness, but balance. Because then when I come from school, there's no extra lesson till 6 o'clock. Why will I be learning for 12 hours a day? Small child will be subjected to that. So by 2 o'clock, I've come back. I do my homework. I play with friends. Mommy comes in. We go and cook. We sit outside by 8 o'clock, talk stories.
So you cook?
Oh, you're joking. Right? How do I survive? So
not just like noodles, not just
no. Real African food.
Okay.
So after that, we sit by 8 o'clock. That tells us stories. Then we prepare for school the next morning. Very balanced system. Even in holidays, we play games, then we write letters, we read books that daddy buys. So those things, you have to ensure that it's always balanced so that the child does not get too much into one and he's now lacking on the other side. So he has to be developed all around. I've seen very exceptional people who become exceptional in life, not necessarily because they are very smart, but because they've learned
that balance,
and that balance is very important. So if you are able to learn balance and discipline and being able to assign tasks properly when they should be done, you would grow to become very useful because you will be a balanced person. You will know how to allocate time for different activities, and that's where parents used to help children, because children have a tendency to mismanage time, especially when they begin to do. Even you see geniuses mismanaging time, solving maths, and become socially awkward. Yes, so parents need to say, okay, no, it's enough of this maths. Let's go and take a break. Let's go and play, or go and play with your friends, or come and do something else. Those things are very important.
And now, aside from helping this child, the gaming helping this child to have that enhanced way of learning, critical thinking, problem solving skills, the eye to hand coordination, paying attention, being focused, being able to do the tasks very well, paying attention to details. There's the one of the bonding.
Yeah.
For example, it helps you to bond. For example, for you and your dad that used to play these games, it helps you to bond.
Come very close.
So that's one of the things that you may want to try during this holiday period. Learning to bond with your children, playing games with them.
Yes.
So it's not all about, the merriment, you eat, you drink, you go out, you see places. Even when you go out, what are the kind of games that you play?
Exactly.
And you have to watch out too, because there are some kind of games that you play that are really not like good for one's safety, that can bring about hurt. That's another thing you have to be careful about this season.
Yes.
Because this is one of the times that they just feel, I need to just release me.
Yes.
Unleash me.
Especially the teenagers.
Yeah, this time around they'll just I need to unleash. This is not unwind. So you find them, playing, wanting to bring the whole roof down. It's okay, but ensure that in that process nobody gets hurt. So one of the things you have to consider is, what are the things that may likely bring hurt in playing those games? And if there is anybody that is really addicted to any of these games, you may want to see a certified therapy.
Yeah.
Certified therapies, because seeing that therapist now will help you, to navigate towards you talk about the problem. And of course, I'm not one in that area. When you see a certified one, they will let you in on the things you are supposed to do. But I know that in all, gaming should be regulated for children.
Yes.
Even for an adult.
Very well.
If you do not regulate it, you become a couch potato too.
Yes, true. Although there are several school of thoughts concerning gaming as an addiction. Some people say it's majorly about time management. Could you really be addicted to solving a problem? But you can just mismanage your time greatly. Like I used to remember then when we started playing video games. Our video games at the bomb. Because you can start playing the video game and we'll play video game from morning till night. I'm not exaggerating. I'm telling you the truth. So it's very easy to abuse those kind of games because they are exciting, they are thrilling, the levels keep coming in, you have friends that you are challenging all the time, and you just can't stop. So, but knowing where to stop is very, very vital. It's very, very vital.
All right, so we'll go on a quick break now. When we come, we'll wrap up this session. Don't go anywhere. Okay,
so ladies and gentlemen, we're on the final stages of Learn With Us, and I'm sure you have been thrilled and you have enjoyed from the discussion so far on the impact or the effect of gaming in verbal reasoning. So right about now, we are now in our vocation and phone corner, and so I'm going to be asking a question to my co-anchor here. So the question that we have here for today is, who is a radiographer? Have you heard the word before, radiographer?
Isn't this very simple question you're asking me? I don't like it when you bring this kind of question that somebody in the womb, a child in the womb can answer. And you bring it for Avodoya. A radiographer simply somebody who plots graph on radio.
Or
somebody who plots graph using radio.
Wow.
Radiographer.
Wow. From the word verbal reasoning. This is really verbal reasoning.
Radio and grapher.
Yes, it's one.
Just this thing that I'm doing now. Plotting graph on radio.
This is what they say, you have the confidence saying the wrong thing.
So you know it so much.
Yeah.
Tell them that.
So a radiographer is one who carries out radiography. Radiography are things that has to do with checking the inner structure of the human body using radioactive waves.
But why would they not put radio and graph now?
Because radioactive waves.
Please, don't confuse me.
Like the X-ray, CT scan, and the rest. So that's
all right. So a quick one.
Okay, yes. So we're
talking about games.
Mm-hmm.
So now, in 5 seconds, list 5 games that start with the letter C. Okay.
Wow, 5 seconds.
Yes.
Have you started counting?
Yes. 1, 2.
Card games.
Okay. Don't worry. Let me help you out.
Wow.
Calico, Caesar, Candy Crush.
Woo! Candy Crush. I can't remember. I didn't remember that.
You didn't remember. You didn't remember.
I can't believe I didn't remember
I'm
that.
sure it's on your phone.
Oh my God.
Caesar.
Oh.
Cannonballs.
Oosh.
Cake bashing.
No, this way this thing
Let me
work.
name more. So amazing listeners, this is the much we can take today on this program. So if you want to reach us to know more on our topic today, you know that you can always send us a text message. We'll get back to you. Or you may want to go to our YouTube channel where we always upload. So at this point, we will be bowing out. My name is Iswana Jane Avodoya.
And I'm Victor Osenga-Mije.
And we will say thank you to the studio manager, Guada Lupe. Bye-bye.
Bye.